Welcome back to the Button Tree Book Club. Today we are discussing book 3 of the Lux series. We are talking about Opal. I looked forever to find my Opal necklace. I wanted to wear it for this video. I could not find it. Found the onyx one, never found the obsidian one either. Apparently I've just lost them over time. But it's fine. Alright, we're going to talk about Opal, but first we're going to take a step back and talk a little bit about what happened at the end of Onyx. Well, I guess you kind of talk about the beginning of Onyx, get to the end of Onyx, and then get to Opal. Okay, so Onyx recap. Katie has been mutated on a cellular level. She is now what's called a hybrid, which means she is part human, part Lux. Lux are the aliens in this series. The Lux are freaking awesome. They are beings of light. And last time we learned more about their powers as Katie's learning about her powers. We had a new character enter the scene, Blake. God. Blake. I love him and I hate him. I don't love him at all. I hate him and I pity him. That's a better way to put it. I don't like him at all. I pity him. I do, kind of, sort of, but I mostly hate him. So Blake comes into the picture. He's also a hybrid. And he says, "Hey, I know what you are. I can train you." And Damon's like, no? Why are we going to trust some total stranger who comes out of nowhere, says he is what she is? And, like, it actually makes a lot of logical sense. Why did they just trust this total stranger? Well, actually, they don't. Katie's the one that trusts him. And honestly, like, I get it, but I don't. So, she trusts him because he's what she is. So, she is thinking that he has experienced what she's going through. He knows how she's feeling, something that the Luxon can't feel, because they've always felt this way. They've always had these powers. So I get it, but also she's very naive. She trusts him too easily, and it blows up in her face, is what it does. So Blake turns out, and this was also the book where the government, DOD, Daedalus comes in, and he works for them. Go figure! So he shows up at the end, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna turn you over to them." She goes, "No, you're not." And then the unfortunate tragedy occurs where Damon's sister, and her boyfriend Adam come in to try to save her, and Adam is killed by Blake. Which is why we now hate Blake. Because we love Dee, and we don't want Dee to be in pain. And that happening, that whole thing has really affected Katie and Dee's relationship. It still carries over into book 3, and I'm sure it's going to keep carrying over. Because you don't just forget. Because Katie, even if she didn't kill Adam, she didn't keep Dee in the loop. She didn't trust Dee and Damon enough, and it got Adam killed. Like, it's horrible. Like, you feel for Dee. Your heart just breaks for Dee. And you can understand why she's so mad and frustrated with Katie. Like, she's like, "No, you didn't do it, but because you were stupid and you trusted someone that everyone else told you don't trust, someone died." Alright, the other big thing that happened was Will. Will. Katie's mom's boyfriend, who was just using the mom to get to Katie ultimately. See, I couldn't tell, like, I couldn't remember looking back if they knew each other before all that happened, but I don't think so. I think he literally went after Katie's mom to get to her, which is so creepy. Now, the reason he wants to get to her is because she's now a mutated human. He wants to be mutated. He had cancer, and he wants Damon to heal him so it'll cure the cancer. And he locks Katie in a cage of Onyx. And Onyx, as we learned in the last one, is like the ultimate weakness of the Luxon. It hurts them. It's like a torture device for the Luxon, which is really, really interesting when you consider, like, obsidian, Onyx, and Opal, and, like, they're all black stones. Why do some hurt? Why do some not? Like, it doesn't make any sense. We'll talk about Opal in a second, though. So Katie is abducted by Will and tortured so Damon will heal him. It's a whole big drama. And of course, like, it blows up in Will's face. Like, Damon gets I mean, I guess not exactly. It doesn't exactly blow up in his face. Well, at least not right away. We don't find out how badly it screws up until book 3. Yes, I'm going to be spoiling book 3. If you don't like spoilers, don't keep watching. But, like, Will wants Damon to heal him, and then what he gets for not killing Will is he gets Dawson back. That is the big thing that happens at the end. Dawson is back. They get their brother back. So I guess it's kind of that, like, you lose a brother, gain a brother. But, like, you feel like, oh, Adam. I wish we hadn't lost Adam. Adam seemed cool. He seemed super chill, and it sucks that he died. But I think it creates necessary character development for everybody. It develops Dee's character. It develops Ash's character. I mean, you still don't like her much, but it changes her. I mean, obviously, like, grief will change anybody. Losing someone really close to you is going to change you. So that kind of sums up what happened in Onyx. So now Adam is dead. Will has been healed. He thinks he might be mutated, but they're pretty sure he won't be because Damon didn't care crap about Will. So now they're like, oh, he's gonna come. That's why I say it blew up in his face because, like, one, he wasn't fatally injured because he insisted on healing himself and that wasn't gonna work well. But then also, Damon, of course, didn't care if Will lived or died, and of course he didn't want him to be mutated, so it didn't. So that pretty much sums up book 2, but now I want to go into Opal. And I gotta talk about some of the stuff that happens in this book. So if you don't like spoilers, stop watching. Go read this book. It's so good. It was almost guilty of being what I call a connector book. Of lots of stuff happens in 2. You know lots of stuff's gonna happen in 4. Not much happens in 3. But what redeems it is the fact that there is a lot of subplots being developed, and there's a lot of movement in subplots, and there's a lot of character development, which is important, as well as, like, the pacing was still good, the dialogue was still good, everything was still good. It's just the overarching plot line didn't move a whole lot, because at the end, Dawson comes back, and of course, all Dawson wants is Beth. So you have an entire book building up to how are they going to get Beth back. And because in book 2, we saw that Beth is not necessarily all there. We don't really know fully what her mental state is, like if that was like a momentary thing, what she's like all the time, but they want to get Beth back. And so Blake is back. We hate him. Everyone is mad at him. Everybody's mad at him. And he deserves everyone to be mad at him. He comes back and tells them, like, I'm gonna help you get Beth, but you're gonna help me get the Luxon out that healed me and made me a hybrid, because Dallas, the DOD, is keeping both of them. And that's kind of like their leverage. That's the government's leverage with with the hybrids. They keep the Luxon. Yeah. Well, I guess it's both ways. It can be either one. Because Beth is a hybrid, but Blake is the hybrid, but the Luxon's being kept. But it's very confusing. There's a lot of both. All right, so the whole goal is they want to go to the government base and get them both out. So like most of this book is just planning for that break-in. They go once, it don't work so well. They learn that they weren't prepared. So then they have to prepare, and then they go a second time, and crap hits the fan. That ending is, oh man, it is an intense ending. I don't know if I want to spoil the ending. I don't know. I'm gonna go back a little bit though, because I think it's, like, there's lots of things that happen prior to that. Like, they meet another hybrid, and they learn about Opal. Alright, I'm going to talk about Opal now. Opal is the stone that makes Luxon more powerful. Potentially, but not known right now, I don't even remember if it's said at all, is I think Opal, it's black Opal. It's a very, very rare Opal. And this Opal is real. Now, its actual abilities, of course not. But this is extremely rare Opal, even in life. There is a such thing as, like, this rare black opal that's only in Australia. It's a real thing. I wish I had opal like that. Apparently, like, it's stunning. Like, the colors and the look of it is stunning. I just have fake opal that looks like it. But it enhances hybrids' powers, Luxon's powers, and it's considered that it would help an Aram, but I don't think they've actually tested that, so they don't know. And let's see, there's so many little subplots. I'm trying to think of all these little subplots. So that's one of the things. They're like, oh, how can we get opal? Oh, it's super rare. You're not going to. But then they get some because one of Katie's human friends goes missing. And again, these are spoilers, guys. They are definitely spoilers. One of Katie's friends, her name is Carissa. I kept thinking Lisa, and I'm like, no, that's the other girl. Carissa, I don't know how you say that technically. She's abducted and turned into an unstable hybrid. But this unstable hybrid has an opal. That is how they get their opal. because she just shows up at Katie's house and attacks her. We don't know why. There's no reasoning to it. She just shows up. I don't know if they ever learn why. Maybe it comes up later, but they don't know. In book 3, they don't know. It's an occurrence. Again, it's one of those little subplots. As well as, like, the other hybrid they meet, and now they owe him, that's a big thing. I'm sure that's going to be a big deal. I don't remember. But they now owe this hybrid a favor because he helps them break into the government base. And, of course, this whole break-in goes horribly, horribly wrong. Simon comes back, that jock Simon, the human, that was getting in everybody's way in book 1 and book 2, the jerk. He comes back. I'm not going to say exactly how, but it's not good. And, we're not going to hear from Simon anymore after this book. That's all I'm going to say. Blake reaches a new level of we hate you. Oh, God. By the end of this book, I actually went straight to book 4 because I was just like, no. It is an emotional roller coaster. Like, the last 100-ish pages, 150. Like, I got through them in maybe an hour. Okay, probably not that. Hour and a half. I read pretty fast. But it's an emotional ride. Like, I don't want to spoil the ending exactly, but it ends on such a horrible note. It's a cliffhanger. Your heart breaks for people. I don't think anybody dies. I'm trying to think. Well, okay, yes. I'll give you the spoiler. Will dies, and he deserves to. Will is a dead man. So he comes back, and obviously the mutation didn't work. Well, his way of saying it is like it did, and then it stopped working, which I don't understand because I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think you got powers and then I don't know. But apparently he did, and then when the mutation faded, his cancer came back like tenfold, and then he decides, I'm gonna go get revenge. Literally, that's all he keeps saying. He's like, I want revenge. Like, we get it. You're an angry man that doesn't like have, like, okay, like, I get it. Cancer is a horrible, horrible, horrible thing that I don't wish upon anybody. But that doesn't mean you get to be a jerk to people. It doesn't mean you get to be evil. Which is what Will is. And I don't like that he embodies this idea that because he's sick, he's entitled to acting this way. Because he's not. But he comes back and he's like, I want revenge. He's like, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to make Damon watch and then like freak out over you, then he's gonna die because if you die, he dies, and then I'm gonna wait here until your mom comes home, she's gonna freak out over you, and then I'm gonna kill her too. Like, that is so wrong. Like, for one thing, the mom did nothing. Like, she is innocent. She has no clue any of this is going on. Like, okay, I'm gonna pause for a moment. Could we talk about how unbelievable that is? The fact that Katie's mom knows nothing. Because she's always away at work. Like, why are there so many parents that just trust their kids? Like, this mom seems so... They try to, like, make those nice, like, heartfelt moments between Katie and her mom. But they just seem so detached from each other. It doesn't seem like they spend any time together. She doesn't know a thing about Katie's life other than she's friends with Dee, which is only kind of true at this point, and that she's with Damon. She literally knows nothing else. Oh, and she knows about Blake. Which, I still love that Damon refuses to call him that. He will come up with any other name, but he will never call him Blake. Actually, I think he does it once when he's being serious. But, okay. But anyway, Will is a dead man, and he kind of brings it on himself, because he comes and he's gonna, kill Katie, and Katie defends herself. Now, she goes through that moment of, I didn't want to kill him, but I wanted to kill him. But, like, I can understand where she's coming from. Like, this guy just said he's gonna kill you, which would kill the person you love and your mother, who's like your only family now. Like, and you know that if you hadn't killed him, he would have just kept coming back over and over. This would have been a continuous extra little side plot that we kept having to come back to. I'm glad that that story's over. I hate Will. Like, that whole thing, I was like, nah, be done with that. It's not a bad plot. It's just, I was like, it needs to end now. You need to move on to the next thing. And it does, and it gets so freaking intense. So I will say this about the ending. Yes, they get Beth. And that is incredible. But it also goes horribly, horribly wrong. One other thing I want to say about this book. I'm completely jumping around. One other thing I really want to say about this book is the dialogue of this book is hilarious. So the most humorous moment to me, and this starts in book 2, is one of these continuous throwback lines they go to is whenever Katie's trying to be heroic, which she's trying to do a lot, and whenever she's trying to be heroic and tell Damon, like, don't leave me on the sidelines, I'm not a damsel in distress, he just looks at her and goes, this isn't one of your books. And she goes, I know that. Like, you know that Jennifer Armentrout did that on purpose. The whole, this isn't a book. You're not the hero in a story. We don't know how it's going to end. We don't know if there's happily ever afters. This isn't a book. This isn't something that you're reading to put on your blog later. And I'm just like, oh, I get it. It's funny. It's funny. And it's not overdone. It's done just a few times. I think it's done like 2 times in this one. I think it was done once, maybe twice in the other. And just every time you go back to it, you're like, yep. Because Katie loves books, which is why Katie's one of my favorite characters. Alright, I think that's just about all I have for Opal. Next week, 1 week from now, we'll be talking about Origin, book 4, and boy do things ramp up. Because, I mean, in book 2 and 3, you see the government, DOD, Daedalus getting more and more and more involved, and, like, they're breaking into their facility. It's just, like, this next book, I think it, of all the books, has the biggest DOD, Daedalus, plot line. I mean, I think it's still in book 5. I mean, you can never really escape from the government. But I think the biggest focus is Daedalus and DOD in the next book. And if you read to the end, you know why. But I'm not going to say why if you didn't read it, because you should go read this. Jennifer Armentrout is an amazing author. Her works are phenomenal. I highly recommend this series, other series. I haven't read as many by her as I wish I had. I keep trying to collect them. But, like, even the ones I haven't read, I'm sure they're amazing. So you should read this series, read any other series, and tell me what you thought of this book down in the comments. I'd love to know. Like, I've heard some people say that they weren't huge fans of Lux, or that they're not huge fans of Jennifer. Tell me why. If you love this series and you love this author, tell me about it. I'd love to know. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. If you have not subscribed to our channel, you should. And you should give this video and all of our videos likes because they're awesome. And we'll be back next time. Bye!